Hi friends, I'm back again letting you know what's going on in Lansing. Today we have an educational lesson, but first I want to make mention that there's been two resolutions that I've initiated since I've been in the legislature. This is my third year in the legislature. The first one was to defend our Second Amendment rights, as the Democrats were one by one, I think it was about 13 bills, to piecemeal, just parse out pieces of our Second Amendment rights away into Never Never Land, and we're going to get them back though. Anyway, that was the first resolution. The second one was this recent one that some of you may have heard about already, and that was to push back against the State Board of Ed to demand new sex ed standards into our public schools. I'm going to go through it a little bit in more detail. First of all, the content of these sex ed, I call them not standards. Sex ed not standards, the content's completely inappropriate. It's highly controversial. It's sexual content you wouldn't want to read yourself. You wouldn't want to ever see it, know it, see graphic drawings about it. You're not going to sit around and talk about this stuff. Why in the world would our little kids, down to as young as age 4, potentially, why would we want them talking about this? And having an adult in the room as the authority, and they can't turn to you or me and say, hey, is this okay? Or how come I feel uncomfortable? Content totally inappropriate, perverted. Secondly, they're making it mandatory by embedding it into health class and other classes. It's going to be weaved right into, and they deny this, but that's a lie. We've seen it, we've heard it in many schools. Unfortunately, I hate to tell you, parents, many schools are already doing it. You just don't know about it. The State Board of Ed, the Michigan Department of Ed, they just want to make it, in the legislature we call it codified, but it won't be because they went around the legislature. But they want to make it an official mandate that they've approved of, and they made it public so that it's then okay that these schools are doing it while we're trying to uncover what they're doing. So I believe that's the reason they want to make it officially mandatory, which exposes them, by the way. And if it's mandatory, the parental rights to opt the child out and get the material ahead of time is gone. Again, they deny this, but that's a lie. Because if you're going to weave it into mandatory classes, how in the world would they let you know that for the 10 minutes of Monday in this week, but not next week, we're going to discuss it and then move on to a different part? You just can't piecemeal all the inappropriate material your child might get in little classes. Are they going to let everyone leave for 10 minutes and then bring them back in? And on Thursday, then they wait till 4th hour and then take them out? This is crazy. Crazy. And you, the parents, are still in charge as long as you exert that power that you still do have. Thirdly, the process is off. You don't go around the legislature to make something mandated. We would consider sitting down with a work group, looking at, really, do we need sex ed standards updated? Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but that's the wrong process. What is the State Board of Ed doing this for? Who provoked them to do this? They say it's Massachusetts standards. Well, this is Michigan, and there's a lot of things about Massachusetts we don't agree with. High taxes is one. There's many other things. So, we've got 3 things wrong here, all while our Michigan students, and this is a known fact throughout the whole nation, unfortunately, and it's very embarrassing, but our smart students and our smart teachers are made to look like they're not smart anymore. Why? Because actual learning should be the goal, and it's not. This is what should be happening: math, science, history, civics, etc. Reading. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to read? How are they going to read this content anyway? Is it all pictures? Very scary. So going back to content for a second, This kind of gender theory, gender identity, what's your pronoun, etc., what does that lead to? It leads to mental health problems. It leads to confusion. It leads to more insecurity. All kids are insecure. All kids going through puberty are insecure. Adult men and women going through life changes makes them insecure, but they're adults by then. They're supposed to know how to access help and access good counsel and a physician or whatever. But this kind of content, dangerous for our little kids. Very dangerous. What we also saw this past week, and I know I'm going on a while, but I think you need to hear this. We heard the testimony in Child Welfare Subcommittee, which is an oversight subcommittee. They came in and testified, boys and girls, parents, of the devastation of the result of this kind of nonsense, causing confusion, causing insecurity, sometimes causing some of the students, the teenagers, to think they might want to commit suicide, which really scares any parent, of course. As a result, they went through transgender surgeries with expert advice, with surgeons and physicians giving them medication that would block their normal hormone production and send them in another direction. Hormones, adrenal glands, thyroid, very fragile. We have so much trouble in our society, in our culture today, in our medical world with those areas, and now we're going to cause it early? So they went through medical processes, were given advice on which sex shops to go to get funky looking clothing, undergarments, etc., in sex shops, not in a regular department store, but in sex shops. They were sent there by the experts, by the doctors. Crazy. This is really going on in our beautiful state. As a result, they had their surgeries. As a result of the surgeries at a young age, they are in chronic pain. The one woman shared that she will never be able to have a baby. She will never be able to nurse a baby. She will be part of the medical system for the rest of her life, as she put it, because she needs so much medical care now just to survive the day, the week, the months. She is in chronic pain. The boy who shared, he feels disfigured. He has things going on in his body he can't control anymore. And they have told him that's the way it's going to be. It's called mutilation. It's vile. It violates the Hippocratic Oath for any physician engaging in this nonsense. And yet it's going on in our state, in our medical world. And it's spurred on by this kind of garbage content that we have to stop. It should not be in our schools, but above that, the parents should decide what their children are exposed to, especially when it's really delicate, controversial material. I hope that although you're horrified, that you're glad to be informed, because it's your job now to go to the school, and don't yell and scream, just because some of these schools are doing it great also, and they're keeping it out of their schools. We commend those schools. You're doing a great job. But others, you got to figure that out, parent. What kind of school is your student, your child going to? And don't let them tell you they know better than you. They're not going to be there for the next 50 years to care for your child. They're not going to be there for the legal battles, the medical battles, the extra care, the feeding, the transportation, the financing, etc. You will be. And we as a legislature stood against this. The Republicans stood against this. Unfortunately, there wasn't one Democrat that voted with us in the House. I can't even believe it, because this is common sense. When polled, 80 to 90% of the population polls in the direction of not this content, don't make it mandatory, and this is the wrong process. They want real learning, They want to keep parental rights, and they want the option of what they teach in their own home. You deserve to know the truth. Thank you for listening. Share your comments.